Hi, good people. How are you? I'm sure you are all doing great. I'm glad to come your way once again. I welcome you to my Pt1. We'll continue with our preparation towards marriage. Last week, we had a guest, Mr. Tabofe, who talked to us on the temperament and how it relates in choosing life partner. Today, I want us to look at another topic. This time we are looking at marriage or marriages. At this part of our world, what are the kinds or the types of marriage that we have? That's what I want us to go through this evening. As usual, I am your Counsellor JK. Now, in this part of our world, basically when you're talking of marriage is the union between a man and a woman. Marriage is the union between a man and a woman. And that's the definition we can offer at this part of our world. So, in Ghana specifically, we can talk of 3 types of marriages, and they are all valid. We can talk of 3 types of marriages which are all valid and accepted. We can talk of the customary marriage, which we know or which was handed to us by our forefathers. That is the customary marriage or the traditional marriage. We'll come to that and we'll delve into the traditional marriage. We have the Islamic marriage or the marriage under the Mohammedan law. The marriage under the Mohammedan law or the Islamic marriage. And then we have the ordinance marriage or marriage under the ordinance, and it's the same as the church marriage. That's when it comes to the documentation and the rules binding it. Now I want to look at the Islamic marriage or marriage under the Islamic or Mohammedan law. The law permits marriage up to 4. That's man marrying up to 4 women. That's what the law under the Mohammedan law permits. When you come to the customary law or the traditional law or marriage under the customary, the man can marry any number he wants to marry. This one, there's no limit. There's no limit to this type of marriage under the Mohammedan law, the traditional or the customary marriage. But the third one, which is the marriage under the ordinance, or what we call the church wedding or the church marriage. That one, it is one man, one wife. The man can just marry one person at a given time. And then when the man goes beyond marrying one, or when the law finds out that the man under the ordinance had married more than one, the law will catch up on that man. And that is what the law calls bigamy. We'll come to that side later. So I said we have three types of marriages. We have the customary marriage or the traditional marriage. We have the Islamic marriage or the Muhammad marriage under the Mohammedan law. And then we have the marriage under the ordinance or the church marriage, or what sometimes we say court marriage. Now, we will take them one after the other. Let's try to go into the customary marriage for this first part. And then later on, maybe next week, we'll look at the others, or possibly get an expert on the Mohammedan marriage for our teachings or for our consumption. Now, when you're talking of the customary marriage, people sometimes think it is not marriage, and they tend to call it as an engagement. It is not an engagement. It is a type of marriage. You see, before the inception of Christianity and then Islam, our forefathers, our mothers, they were marrying, and it was legal by then. And you can't tell me if there is no Christianity, there is no Islam, marriage will be considered as null and void. No. Provided you have gone through the traditional or the customary rites, the woman or the man is legally married to each other. So let's take that note. Let us not make that confusion. Let us not just make that misconception that the traditional marriage is engagement. Sometimes you hear people, oh, we are going for an engagement. We are going for an engagement. What we mostly attend is the marriage, the customary marriage or the traditional marriage. The accounts will say the fiawari, but that is the traditional marriage or the customary marriage. If you are not a Christian, if you are not a Muslim, after going through the customary marriage, you are good to go. You take your wife and you go to your new place to start your life. Now, let me delve into the customary marriage a little. You see, traditionally, and it still persists today, most people prefer the customary marriage. It's not everybody who is a Christian, it's not everybody who is a Muslim. Somebody may not believe in the Islamic faith, somebody may not believe in the Christian faith, but the person will marry legally. You can marry under the customary marriage or the customary marriage, and you can still go to the registrar generals or the marriage registrar to document it, which is also accepted. So, now with the traditional one or the customary marriage, when a man sees a woman, they date, they court, and they agree, or they see that now they are compatible enough for them to marry. They are compatible enough to live as a man and a wife. What mostly is done is that at the initial stage, the man who is going to marry will inform the father. Traditionally, the father marries for the son. But obviously, the man who is ready to marry, he should financially be prepared, mentally and everything prepared. But traditionally, we say the father marries for the son. So the boy or the man, the young man, will inform the father or the immediate family members, and then they will go to the girls or the ladies' parents, and then they will do what we call opono chibo in Akan. That is the knocking. Okay, the knocking it varies from one culture to the other. But looking at it from the Akan aspect of the knocking or of the opono chibo, you go with some drinks, maybe 2 bottles of schnapps, maybe these days they can add a crate of mineral or some soft drinks. But basically, initially, it was 2 bottles of schnapps, or maybe 1. Just making your intention to marry their daughter known. Your intention to marry their daughter be made known at that short but very important ceremony. And when you go to the girl's family, few members, especially the nuclear family members and few other family members, will be around to accept or to reject. But before they will accept it, they will call their daughter to find out whether you have had any discussion concerning marriage with the daughter. And if the daughter agrees, the man, that's the father or the family of the girl, accept that drink. That is the knocking. But see, these days, for the sake of time and our schedules in our workplaces, we sometimes do all the knocking and the marriage together at the same day. So, as it were, you go with the knocking, maybe 2 bottles of schnapps, as I said, and then the girl's family accept it, of course, with their daughter's consent. It means that you can, or you have the right to be seen with a woman. That is not married yet. I'm not talking of maybe having sex with her or living as couples yet. No. At least you can visit at home. She can visit you to plan for your marriage. And then from then, the lady's family will give you the list of the marriage, what we call the marriage list, or the items which the family will require from the man who needs to marry or who wants to marry from their family. And that's what we call the dowry or the dowry price. The accounts call it itinsa. Itinsa. And you see, the itinsa or the dowry is the main marriage. Is the main foundation of the marriage. Without the dowry, without the itinsa, the girl cannot be said to be your wife. So they pay the itinsa or the dowry to make the marriage agreement complete. Now, let me come here again. The first part, which is the knocking, okay, can be equated to the engagement. In other traditions, a man sees a woman, give her a ring, and they call that ring as engagement ring. The man sees you, oh, darling, sweetheart, I wish to marry you. Will you marry me? Now, we know how people have been doing it in grand style. They organize a party, they will just show the girl a ring and say, will you marry me? And that thing. That is foreign. Fine. So, our knocking, the kokoko, the knocking, is equated to the engagement. So, you see, when the engagement or the knocking is done, we now say that the girl has been engaged to the man. the girl has been engaged to the man who actually came with the family members. That is her engagement. The girl is occupied. Somebody has asked her hand in marriage, meaning that all things being equal, no other man can also bring another engagement items. All things being equal, no other man can come and propose or ask to marry her. So that is the knocking. That's the first part of the marriage. And I said that one can be equated to the engagement. Now let's come to the marriage. Now after the engagement, after the knocking, then they will fix a time. A date will be set for the man to prepare and come and marry their daughter. Okay? And in those days, we were told when you come and do the knocking, the woman's family members will do background check, some background investigation of the boy to see whether the boy's family is a good family to marry from, whether there is any sort of chronic or contagious disease in the family, whether they are not of the same clan or of the same tribe that they cannot marry together. You see, the Akans, we have some sort of clans, like the Asuna, the Biana, and those things. In those days, they believe that if somebody is an Asuna, he cannot marry to an Asuna lady because they believe they are blood related. So those days, they look at those things. But now, basically, they look at the character, they look at the background of the man to see whether he's rightful person for their daughter to marry. Now, when they fix the date for the marriage, what we mistakenly call as engagement, I am saying that is not engagement. The ceremony that we all attend in a grand style, we all go and they ask the woman, and this is marriage. This is customary marriage. This is traditional marriage. Let no one deceive you that it is an engagement. I've told you that if I am not a Christian, after that ceremony, I go home with my wife. If I'm not a Muslim, after that ceremony, I go home with my wife. And it is legal. It is accepted. And now for the purposes of documentation, for the purposes of modernity, you can do your customary marriage all right, and then you can go to court or the registrar of marriages, and then you document it. Just you with two witnesses, one witness from other side, and you can just go and document your marriage. That is all. At least for people who were witnesses to the party, to the marriage, in case they are not around, at least there's a documentation to show that, yes, this man had married to this woman. So that is that. Now, with a marriage, with a traditional marriage, the basic thing that cuts across almost all the tribes in Ghana is the dowry price or the bride price, which the accounts call 18 And then there are some other items, I will mention them. We have what we call, the accounts have what we also call eti adie. There are two things. There is 18, which is the bride price or the dowry. Then we have the eti adie. Now, all these things cut across. There's something for the mother. There's something, an item for the father. There's an item for the brother or the brothers-in-law. All these basic things cut across. And now the tiadie are the items which are given to the girl. That one also cut across almost all the traditional areas that I have actually asked. Now, these are some of the things they provide during the marriage. I mean the traditional marriage or the customary marriage. The dowry or the bride price. Mostly it's made up of drinks, foreign drinks, schnapps, obviously the foreign ones. You add these days there are soft drinks, maybe 2 crates of soft drinks. Maybe they will say a box or a crate of beer or Guinness, plus the schnapps, maybe 2 bottles of schnapps or 4 bottles of schnapps, depending on the cultural background. And then there is money attached, undisclosed. That amount of money depends on the family in which the girl comes from. It depends on the girl's family. So the dowry or the bride price, the eti nsa, schnapps or foreign drinks, and then these days they add crates of mineral or soft drinks or soda drinks, and then maybe a crate of beer or Guinness. Now that's what they do, plus money, depending on the community or depending on the family of the girl. And then there is etiadie. This etiadie is like the gift which is given to the girl. This etiadie comprises of cloth. Sometimes I think the basic one, 6 pieces of 6 half pieces of cloth. Okay, half pieces 6 of cloth. There are some families that will say 12. There are some maybe more, or maybe the father of the girl can consider and reduce it for the man. So basically 6. Then underwears, now the panties and those things. And now traditionally there's what they call a moisier or a tam. It's like the loin cloth. Traditionally, that's what the ladies were using as panties or underwear. You add 1 to it. Beads for the waist, and some other items for the woman, including earrings, jewelry, and all those things. And now, with modernity and with Christianity, if the girl happens to be a Christian, sometimes Catholics, Methodists, Presbyterian, they will ask that you add a hymn book of their church, and then Bible, and then ring, to signify, as we normally know these days, that the woman is married. So with the Christian infusing theirs into our marriage, it is done that way. And then the tiadie also, I said, an amount of money is added. And now you look at the worth of the woman that you have got, and then you give the money to, because that woman, it's expected that goes to the woman herself, the woman that you are going to marry. So if you think your woman worth 500, it's up to you. If you think your woman worth 1,000, if you think your woman worth 10,000, it's up to you. So that amount of money plus the cloth, the underwear, the beads, the jewelry, the Bible, in or with a suitcase, plus that amount of money goes to the woman during the marriage ceremony. And then we have the ones that goes to the father. Okay, we have the danta. The accounts call it danta. It goes to the father. Danta is mostly a full piece of cloth plus money, undisclosed amount of money. This money depends on the family. So 1 piece of cloth plus money. There are some traditions or some areas they will ask that you add the traditional footwear, a henema, to it. There are some areas they will ask you to buy umbrella in addition for the girl's father. And then we have the tamboba or the junsomuda for the girl's mother. That is half piece of cloth plus amount of money depending on the family. And then we have the akontagie sekan. akontaje sekan. The akonta is the brothers of the woman. The akonta is the brother or the brothers of the woman. And the Akans believe that the brothers of the girl actually protected their sister from harm to now that the girl is going to marry. So for the groom, for the man who is going to marry, to appreciate the brothers-in-law for taking care of the girl for him to marry, you give that undisclosed amount. In fact, if you appreciate the work that your brothers-in-laws did by protecting your wife for you, you give in more. That one, we don't disclose it. But it all depends on the strength of the man who is going to marry. And then there are some places they have the aseda. After doing everything, it's like you are saying thank you. That one too, there is drink and an amount of money attached. There are some places they say asafonsan. That's the drink for the gathering. So all those who came to the gathering are given some drink. In those days, they all drink, and it served as witness, or they drink to witness the marriage. And now it's still there. These days, when you go, they give items. Sometimes they will give you branded cups, branded face towels, and those things. But that one is also there. Because of modernity, we have sort of modernized it. And all these items, when the man who is going to marry and the family, you see, this marriage ceremony is a grand thing. So all the family members of the man and the family members of the girl will all meet at the girl's home. Okay? So the girl will have their family members available, almost all, the extended family and all friends and sympathizers and loved ones. And then the boy or the man who is here to marry will also come. So it's a grand ceremony. That's why I'm saying you cannot call that thing as an engagement. It is the marriage, traditional marriage or the customary marriage. So in the presence of both families, the man will present these items. In some places they check, some places they trust that it's okay. Then they will call the girl who is to be married to. Then they will ask her in presence of the gathering that Mr. A has shown interest to marry you. He has brought this man and his family. They've brought all these items so that they marry you for their son. Do you agree? They will do that 3 times for the girl to say, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. 3 times to signify that they are not giving her into marriage against her will or against her wish. So the girl will testify in public and agree and say that, yes, I agree to marry this Mr. A or Mr. B. And then when they agree, then they'll be able to take the items in. And basically, that's a ceremony. At times, there are 1 or 2 pieces of advices for the girl and for the woman, for the girl and the man. And then they make merry. If there is, as somebody said, item 13. Obviously, there's always item 13. We eat, we drink. And then after this, the girl is now the Mr. A's wife. So the girl becomes Mrs. A. And the man has the liberty or has the right to take his wife home. These days, the same day you finish, you take your wife home. At first, we were told that sometimes it takes about a week for them to prepare the girl, gather all her items, and down in a grand style, the mother or the grandmother will lead the girl with a team of friends and other siblings to the man's wife. We were told that's where we got the word ayefro shia or yire, from the word or yire fufro shia. That's welcoming of a new wife or meeting of a new wife, or yire fufro shia. So after the main marriage ceremony, maybe they can wait for a week. Then in a grand style, they will usher the girl into the man's home, where everybody will be there. They will eat, they will drink, and they will make merry at that time. So tradition at that time, marriage. And anyone who goes through this marriage is legal in Ghana here. It is recognized by the laws of Ghana as marriage. So please don't call that one as an engagement. What I can equate to engagement is what I describe as the knocking, which can be equated to the engagement. But what we all see, we all go through that elaborate ceremony is marriage, or the traditional marriage, or the customary marriage, which is recognized by the laws of Ghana. And I said, for the sake of documentation with modernity, you need to record it. You don't want it to be like oral tradition. You want it to be documented. You can go to the registrar of marriages at the district assemblies or the court or the registrar general's department, and you can document your marriage. And note that the customary marriage is a polygamous marriage. When I say polygamous or polygamy, it means the man can marry more than one. In fact, it's infinity. The man can marry at any number that he wants. So in short, this is our customary marriage. Next time we'll take the other forms of marriage and look at the way they are. Thank you once again for being with me. Thank you once again. I am your counselor, JK. Thank you for watching my Beat TV. Bye-bye.